I paid $16 for a monthly subscription to CapCut, and it fixed it perfectly. All right, welcome to another episode of Game Day Glare. This is the first episode of season 2, episode 71. We took a little break for the summer. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E? How was your break?
Great. I don't know if you can tell my little tan, slowly fading away, but I took some time off. Went to Mexico. Went to Orlando with you, which we'll talk about in a minute. But that wasn't actually time off, but yeah, I did go in the sun and enjoy my summer. So it was a good break. Felt good, feel refreshed, and happy to be back. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like the break went really, really fast. And the first couple of weeks, I really missed podcasting, and I felt like, even when I reached out to you and we had a quick meeting one time on our platform, but we didn't record it, and I was like, oh, I miss doing this, but I got so busy that I would have been too hard to do the podcast and do everything else that was
Mm.
going on in our life. So it was a nice break. And yeah, I do feel refreshed because as a creator, I'm always afraid of burnout. I'm always afraid of like not being creative or not coming up with good topics for this. So I was happy and glad that we took the choice to take a little bit of a break, but we're back now, baby. We're back, and I'm ready for season 2. We got some guests lined up. We got some subjects lined up that we hope that our viewers are really interested in. Um, and it's for me, it's very important to be fully engaged in this and really excited about it. And that's exactly how I feel.
Exciting.
That's
I'm
it. That's
excited
it.
for this season.
All right. So listen, thanks to our listeners for still listening and allowing us to take that time, take a little break. There wasn't too many comments about, guys, are you serious? You're taking a break from podcasting? Because me and you are friends. We're talking every week anyway like this. It's just we didn't press record. That was really the only
Uh,
difference.
I think it's pretty common as well, like these days, that podcasts don't go on forever and ever and ever, unless it's like something that you can produce like in advance and make like a bunch of videos. But even then, like there's a lot of podcasts, like even just they're just audio ones, and that I listen to, and they'll have like reruns during the summer or during Christmas break, or like 3-4 times a year, like there'll be like reruns for a month, and it's like, it is what it is. You just wait. It's free, so like you can't really complain if people take a break.
Exactly. I mean, we did do 70 consecutive weeks of podcasting, right? So taking 4 weeks off after 70, I mean, people did ask me like, why did you end your season at 70 episodes? I don't know. We just kind of went with the flow, and then we hit a point where like, all right, now's a good time to take a break. This season will be a little bit shorter than the last one, and we're not going to go 70 straight weeks before we take a break. But I mean, we also started like in March, and then we went all the way through a calendar year and continued till it was time for vacation. So let's why don't we tell the viewers what our summer's been like then? So what has your summer been like so far, E?
Like I said, the big highlight anyway was my trip to Mexico, where I went with a girlfriend and the family and stuff, and it was really fun. It was really just 10 days of pure relaxing and having fun with the kids and everything. So really enjoyed that. Montreal itself has been quite hot during the summer, so coming back from Mexico, I thought it was like, at least like it's not going to be as hot as it was over there. It's exactly the same. So yeah, it's been quite hot, and me not having any AC in my house, which is also where I make my videos, it can be tough sometimes. But other than that, I don't want to spoil what we're gonna talk about today. But yeah, I did do a job with you that took me away from home for like 4 days, and 4 or 5, and yeah, that was also a big highlight because it was different. Took me out of my routine, and it was exciting. It was different. It was fun. It was with you. So all in all, a good summer. Few barbecues as well with friends, things like that.
Any other
obviously.
sports you're filming this summer? Was there any other sports you were doing or?
Yes, I did film for my YouTube channel. Events wise, to be honest, now it feels like such a long time ago. I did film some basketball, like the ECBL. There was the outdoors game. There was a few indoors games as well. I did film a couple of CFL football games, and yeah, through that tested a few pieces of equipment, whether it's the monopod that I convinced you to buy, or a microphone as well, a shotgun microphone that I tested recently, and yeah, I think nothing out of the ordinary, to be honest. Like I didn't film anything that I hadn't filmed before, but otherwise now with school starting again, there'll be a lot more opportunities to film, like college football and things like that. Well, say college, university football in Canada, and so yeah, looking forward to that as well.
Good. I sports wise, I mean, I don't know. I did some football. I also did a couple like player profile videos. So players had footage, existing footage, and then I filmed some B roll to match up that some quick close ups of them in their gear and stuff like that for fast cuts, and that they can send off to recruiting coaches, more recruitment videos so they can send off to coaches. And then I did that, and then I had quite a bit of corporate stuff, and that's where you came in, E. So E and I had this trip. We went to Orlando last week, a week and a half ago, um, where I worked at a conference, and I came with this idea that I knew 17 companies that were at this conference. I emailed all 17, 10 of them wrote back, 7 of them signed on. So E and I produced, yeah, we produced what, 60, 65 videos for 7 clients in 4 days. And it was pretty intense. We had a pretty good schedule where one was doing talking head stuff, one was doing B-roll stuff. We rotated it between their booths and that, because this is a massive trade show where there's hundreds and hundreds of companies and everybody has their booth and everyone's selling their products. We broke it down to testimonial videos, product videos, customer testimonials, highlights, everything. We every company had its own needs, and we did our best to meet them. Like I had some companies that just wanted photos basically and a recap video. So E and I handled all of that. So what was your experience like, E? First of all, it wasn't a sporting event. It was what you call it, like a corporate event, but we can compare it to, say, like a tournament, right? Where you're working for multiple clients or multiple teams and trying to get as much content as you can. So how was that experience for you, and how would you describe it? Did I describe it properly? Because obviously my vision of it and your vision of it were completely different. We only really saw each other on passing by and at the hotel. The rest of the time we did not see each other because we were run and gun. We were filming as much as we can. So what was your experience like?
It was great. Like I said, it was definitely different from my routine. I'm at home a lot because I edit from home, and I honestly sometimes maybe when I produce YouTube videos, I don't necessarily go to film like at a game for every video. So sometimes I just film myself in my studio and edit. So it was good to get out. Basically, is what I'm getting at, and it was good to be on the road. I used to do that a lot actually when I was still back in Australia. Not so much after COVID, but before COVID, I would fly somewhere in Australia at least once a month. Sometimes it would be just fly in and then fly out that same evening, but sometimes it would be a 2 or 3 day trip. So I used to do that a lot, working with clients all over the country. So it was good to yeah, I hadn't done that in a while, so it was fun to do. And yeah, I think it was I think like today the idea is to sort of talk about how we prepared for it, how we when I say we, you did all the work. Because one of the things as well that was good from my perspective is that I had zero, other than doing my job, I had zero responsibility. I'm used to have my own production company and be the one that has to deal with clients and deliveries and all these things. And now it's just, I'm just doing what you tell me when you tell me to do it, I don't have to really deal with anyone or any stress or any responsibilities. So that's why it was kind of a trip for me more than the work thing. But what I'm getting at is that you pretty much prepared the entire thing and made sure that we'd be ready for everything that we needed to do, and the relationship with all the clients and the scheduling and all that sort of stuff. So I'm thinking maybe we can go like basically step by step in terms of like talking about the preparation, the methodology, the gear, and you can sort of say what you how you prepared it and how we went about it, and I can then sort of compare it to what to compare it to like someone who would do something similar either at a tournament or filming at a football weekend where you've got multiple players that you're working for, things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So listen, I mean, at this conference, we delivered content every day for these clients, and that was our most important focus, was to make sure that these clients every day had stuff in their Google Drive that they can post, and that was really the main goal. One of the hardest parts was actually figuring out, like, having individual meetings with all these clients and figuring out what kind of content and what they were actually looking for. Now, the conference was 4 days, but they have a setup day on the fifth day. So the way I planned it was I used that extra day, the setup day, to my advantage, where I went there and I had a time book with them to try and get extra content done then. And then the last day of the conference, nothing was scheduled that day. That was basically just a day in case there was anything I missed, anything we didn't get to have a chance to do that had no schedule, that I can go with clients. The rest of the 3 days were all scheduled out, where we gave them two blocks of 2 hours each, where I would do all the talking head stuff, where basically I scheduled myself out, and where I had you as my extra shooter, where I would then give you assignments. Okay, go get this booth, go get this B-roll, go get that. And that's how I tried to work it. And honestly, for me, the main thing was having you was such a relief, because having somebody you can trust, having someone that you don't have to worry about. Like, I've worked with you for so long that I know if I tell you, hey, go over here and get B-roll of that, you got everything. Like, hey, you got B-roll outside, birds in the water, and you went far and beyond. So I'd say the number one thing is have somebody that you work with that you trust fully, and you don't have to worry. I didn't have to second guess. I didn't have to ask you, hey, did you capture this? I knew when I went the cards, everything was there. So that was really, for me, the first relief from this whole thing, because it was a hectic schedule. So as I was filming the talking head and dealing with clients, you were running around B-roll and that. How was that for you, the B-roll aspect of it? I mean, when you were going to everyone's booth, did you kind of have a checklist? I know we kind of talked about what we were looking for, but for you, what was your idea when you were going from booth to booth? Because your schedule was basically like, hey, go for 3 hours, film all the B-roll. We'll meet back here then, and we'll see
Yeah,
where you're
yeah.
at.
Well, yeah, the short answer to your question is no. I didn't have any. I didn't even know what I was getting into, so I couldn't really prepare much. But it's obviously it's like a company has a booth. There's like machinery. There's like promo people. There's sales reps. So you try to capture a bit of all of that, and signage and anything that can make it look cool. Like maybe because a lot of these things are not moving much, like in terms of the machines or the like, because it was about like linen and all that sort of stuff. So if there's try to make like rack focus, things like that, to make it a bit more dynamic. But yeah, it was easy for me in the sense that, like, because that's what I like to do anyway when I'm filming. Like, I'm not like, if we had chosen like which role would you have preferred, I would definitely have picked the one that I had, because I'm more of a fly on the wall. I just do my own thing. I don't really like to direct people and try to tell them what to do and how to do it and things like that. If I can just sort of be in the background and capture people just naturally doing their thing, that's what I enjoy. And I'm the same with just like taking photos, like on my vacation. Like when I take you look at everybody else's pictures and everybody's just like doing selfies or taking photos of the kids just like smiling at the camera, things like that. My photos are all like people doing something, and I'm snapping a photo while they don't even realize, and it's more like in the moment you were doing this, it looked cool, and I took a photo. That's more my style. So like B-roll is definitely more my speed. But yeah, like regarding everything you just mentioned, to go back to my role of comparing it to sports, I'd say if you're covering a tournament and it's going to be over a few days, um, like following in your footsteps, like what I would do is try to get in early before the games actually start and capture as much like cutaway, establishing shots, things of that nature. So whether it's filming the building, the signage about the tournament specifically, you know, a basketball, a whistle, or whatever. And if there is like players practicing, even better, because you can probably capture a few close-ups of a basketball going into the basket, things like that. Obviously, you can't be too wide because at practice, the players are probably not wearing what they're wearing at games. But it allows you to have all these shots in the bank already. And like if a sports videographer is coming in having like a few different clients for a tournament like that, it's probably more like individual players. So it's about knowing what you're supposed to deliver for each player, and making sure that you have enough content to do a video for each of these guys that will look different from one another. So when you're filming like establishing shots of the building, maybe like make sure you get like wide shots, tighter shots, traveling, like a bit of movement, things like that, so you can use different shots in different videos. You don't want all your videos to start with the exact same establishing shot. So things like that will go a long way when you get to the editing part. And then obviously having a shot list, and like you said, while you're breaking it into a schedule where it's like, okay, I'm spending that much time on that player in that game, that much time, so that it's all already in your, sorry, there's like a fly in my studio, like it's already in your notes app or something, like you know where you're meant to be to film each player, because you don't want to get to the end of the tournament and you realize that you barely have any footage of one particular client, and now the team is eliminated or whatever, and you're in trouble. So preparation is the key. But yeah, what about you? How did you? First of all, what were you doing while I was doing all the work?
Yeah, I was managing all the clients and doing all the talking head interviews. I probably filmed, I'm gonna say 40 testimonials, not including product demos, client walkthroughs, intro videos, thank you videos, all that stuff. So probably 65, 70 talking head pieces I filmed throughout. So that's why it was nice to have you do the B-roll. But honestly, I did attack it like we would a sporting tournament, because basically everybody had their time block. One guy's filming highlights, one guy's filming the talking head pieces, and that's how we rolled with it. Now, which I did find weird, which you and I both agreed on, was we kind of went with lighter rig setups. Because we were traveling and they were long days, and I had a V-mount battery the first day, and then guess what? I ditched that battery right away. It was overkill. It was way easier to have 2 or 3 extra Sony batteries in my pocket to have the lightest setup possible. We went with lav mics that we just clipped on, like the DJI ones. We just put the box right on people because it was fast. You don't have time. You're not in a studio, so you're not, untuck your shirt, tuck your shirt back in. This all takes time. So you and I, we found ways to be as efficient as possible. We kind of rock similar lenses also. 28 to 75 seemed to be our workhorse, right? That's what we used the most.
I was
And then,
on the 16 to
16
35.
to okay. And then we had wides. I had a 17-28, you had a 16-35, right? So we were going between just the two lenses. We didn't need your 70 to 200. That would have been overkill. I even ended up using, instead of my FX3, I used my A7 IV the majority of the time, because I did have clients that required photos. And then I even had some curveballs where all of a sudden I'm on a ladder taking a group picture of 100 people at a booth that no one told me about. But it was easier to have the A7 IV in my hand for that flexibility than the FX3. Yes, I could take photos with the FX3. Yes, the FX3 takes very nice photos, but it's a lot easier to manage it on the A7 IV. You flip a switch, you keep the white balance, you keep all your settings, you're ready to go. So that's why I decided to go with that camera, which
So,
for me was shocking because I want to use my FX3, but I'm using the A7 IV. You were going to say something, E?
well, I was just gonna ask. So basically, you think that like if you obviously know what you're doing in both videography and photography, it is possible to do both simultaneously at one event.
Yes, it's a lot more work. Um, I've done it before in the past in sporting events. The only thing that taking photos and video at the same time is you always feel like you're missing something. So if you either take a great photo of a moment, then you missed it video wise. If you take it video wise, then you're missing the photo moment, you know? So I try and pick and choose when I'm going to do that. Now I have a fly in my studio. Um, so it's to pick and choose those moments. In this case that we worked, I had certain clients that required photo. So I didn't take any video of them. You took the video of them as my backup. So it was a lot easier than if I was alone. I would have been going back and forth, and it would have been way too hard for me to handle that.
Mhm.
That being said, having the light setup was so nice. I usually rock like a neck strap, and I do a lot of handheld stuff like that. But since I was doing so many talking head things, I want to thank you because E brought the iFootage Cobra 3, and this monopod. I've always been skeptical of monopods, but this one's great. Like you could just leave your camera on it, even with the V mount battery, even with a mic setup, even with a bigger lens, and it holds it all. To the point where when I got home, that's the first thing I went and bought was this for my next trip because I ended up using it. You used it the first day, and then I think I used it the next 3 days. And this
Yeah,
saved
pretty
us
much.
because I had a tripod in my bag. So I had a backpack the whole time. My back was so sweaty. I had so much gear. And as the days went on, we went lighter and lighter because we realized exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for you, E. I got you to use some of my gear. Now you hadn't really used GoPros in a while. You hadn't used the DJI Pocket 3. I had you use both of those for some fun shots, some time lapse, some
Hmm.
gimbal shots. What was your reaction about using those different cameras since you haven't really used them in a long time?
Well, I think obviously they're not as sharp as a proper mirrorless camera, full frame, all that jazz. But I was impressed by the noise because usually like the GoPros that like last time I had a GoPro was like a Hero 6. Now they're what, like 12 or something?
13, 13.
13. So yeah, so back then didn't take much. Like if you didn't have like a super lit, or if you weren't outside, you were definitely seeing noise if you're pushing the ISO just to try to see something in your image. Noise would show up pretty quick. Where when I tried yours in situations like it wasn't like a dark environment, but it wasn't crazy bright, and like the image was quite clean. And same thing, like especially with the Osmo, I think like we did use it in a few places that were quite dark, like at parties and stuff, and it still looked quite clean and looked good. um when you're walking, because I did a lot of traveling shots, like you could still see like a bit of a wobble, like but I didn't. It's not like I was ninja walking or anything. Like I was
Hey,
power walking
because
through
you're at a party.
people,
You have
and
a drink in one hand, a
yeah,
camera in the
exactly.
other.
So it was the worst conditions. Let's put it that way. Like I wasn't helping the camera at all. And so there was still a bit of a wobble that I felt like, oh, like the whole purpose of using this is to have like a super stable thing. But in terms of the image quality, like I was impressed with it. Like I'm thinking, especially if I was vlogging, for example, from one of my videos, and just want to like quickly just like film myself walking, talking to the camera, or then just do like first person shooter type of stuff, it would be like a very good thing to use for that type of stuff. And for sports, if you're gonna leave a camera somewhere to be like your B cam, like, or your wide shot, um, the quality is definitely good enough to handle that, and be like, just like, obviously when you cut from your FX3, for example, to that, you're going to see a slight difference in sharpness. But other than that, I mean, the quality is still there, and you can still color grade it, and it looks kind of similar. And especially if you add something like that's to some LUT or something to make all the footage kind of have the same style, it's more than good enough, especially for fast paced stuff like sports. So yeah, I was impressed. If I'm gonna buy one, I don't know. I'm not there yet, but who knows?
Who knows? You're not like me with the iFootage Cobra
No,
3 where I bought it instantly.
maybe
Um,
next Prime Day.
yeah. The thing with our light setup and having those little cameras is it's nice being able to set up a GoPro and do a time lapse. It's nice having that little gimbal where you can do some traveling shots instead of bringing your big gimbal like your DJI RS3 or 4
Mhm.
or whatever, you know. So that's the idea of why I have those in my camera bag. And for something like this conference, they were perfect, you know. We had a little tripod. We put the GoPros on. We did time lapse of it. You walked around booths. You got into machines with the little Osmo, and that's what they're for. They're not going to be your main camera. They're just going to be accent pieces to your project, and that's how we use them. And I was very, very happy with the footage that we got with them, except for the one time where I forgot to bring a memory card
Mm,
for the Osmo at one party, but we just split the camera. But everything worked out good. Now
yeah.
we also had one other challenge. So we are giving clients footage and pieces as fast as we can. But there was parties every night that we were invited to. So it was tricky. You and I would go film these events. You know, one company rented this mansion. We got to do like a crib style video, which was really fun. Fly the drone, have a good time there. Then we had two other parties, a barbecue, and this other party that was like a big show. But we were getting home from these events at 10 at night, and then you and I were crunching and working from 10 till 1:30 in the morning, most days, and pumping out content, and then boom, back up in the morning and go again. So that's a part of the workload that I had managed. I had known myself that was going to be like that. I told you it was going to be like that. Did that meet your expectations? Because it's not always easy to be up early, filming all day. We're struggling to find time to eat, and then we get home and it's time to edit. So how did you stay motivated, and how did you find that process?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of used to it myself as well, so it's nothing I've never experienced before. But and it's also like when you're on the road, like it's yeah, it's either that or what I'm gonna be chilling in the room watching Friends reruns. Like it's all right. I'd rather just be doing shit and getting stuff done. So yeah, no, it was good, and it was good to like. And to be honest, I don't think my days were as intense as yours, because like you were like, oh yeah, I got to be there at 2, and I got to meet that guy at 3, and I got to be doing that at 5. Mine was pretty relaxed from that perspective. So by the time we got to like dinner, it's like, all right, we're gonna go to this thing where we're filming for a bit, but then we get to eat and drink. So again, it's a bit of work, but it's not, it's pretty chill. And then it's just after that, then we do some work. But again, we're just sitting in front of our laptops, maybe with a beer or water, depending, and just editing and chit chatting as we do it. And so there's long hours, but it's not like stressful long hours. And so it wasn't for me. Like I said, I'm not the one handling the clients, so it's not that bad. But so yeah, no, it was all good from my perspective. But like I was gonna ask you actually, like what's the cutoff for you? When do you realize that you need someone to help you? Like how do you make that decision?
It was the first time in a long time that I actually worked with somebody else. Like I brought someone else in to help me with projects. So first of all, it was very important of who I picked, and obviously you were an easy choice. Like I said before, I could trust you fully, and I don't have to worry. But it's trying to figure out how you can manage it all. And I realized very early on, as soon as I had more clients, like I had like say I can do 3 clients on my own, but anything after that, well, I'll break even, but I'll bring in somebody and I'll just get it done. And that's the point that I hit. I had people sign on really fast, and I was like, okay, no, we're going to need 2 guys. I was to the point where if I would have had one more client, I would have even brought in a third person just to edit. because it was getting to that amount, like, and it's little things, like when we're sitting in the hotel editing, backing up cards, making sure all the files from that day are there. We're afraid to race cards because we want to make sure that I have not everything just on my working drive, but on my backup drive in case later on a client's looking for something, we don't have it. So just little logistics like that take up time, and time is your enemy, right? Because we want people to have their stuff. And it was really important for me the first 2 days to crush the first 2 days so people had stuff. Day 3, day 4, people start getting tired, and then you're just pumping out the content as you go. So that was the only stressful part. And I had one other issue that I will bring up. I made a mistake. I was rushing in between interviews, and when I came back home, not even there, I noticed I had 2 interviews that the focus went a bit soft. Now, the reason why the focus went soft is, we have these great Sony cameras, there's automatic focus. But while you're doing an interview at a trade show, you have people walking back and forth behind you. And for some reason on one, and it's not the full interview, just one part where it grabs focus on someone else and my main viewer's out of focus. So then I panic. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to fix this? So I look at all this AI software, Topaz AI. I already have, what do I have? DaVinci Resolve. Topaz, no, doesn't work for it. Filmora, nope. DaVinci, okay. I paid $16 for a monthly subscription to CapCut, and it fixed it perfectly. And I was floored. I said, you know what? I got a 7-day free trial. And then after that, $16, and it fixed that clip. And
So
man,
what did it do? Added like contrast and details?
yeah, and sharpened up the face a bit. It kind of puts like say like a TikTok filter kind of on the face, but for sharpening. Now the whole image isn't as sharp as it normally would be on my Sony clip, but everything is in focus. So I was fine with that. You can't tell that I'm at a f2.8 or an f3.5 filming this interview. Everything's in focus now, but
Okay.
you could see it now. You could tell that it's in focus. You can see that it's not soft, especially when you're doing interviews. Like, so E and I, we cheated, film 4K, edit 1080. That way we can punch in, punch out. So when you punch in, that's where you really notice the soft focus. Now, when I punch in, you don't notice the soft focus. So it really, really saved my ass. So I cannot believe that I had used CapCut for this.
There you go.
But
Hot tip.
I probably spent, I'm going to say 3 hours testing stuff out, trying stuff. DaVinci was really, really close. Like, I have a paid version of DaVinci. DaVinci was really, really close, but CapCut did it better.
And what were you doing in DaVinci? Like,
so
what
basically,
were you adding?
sharpen. You add sharpen and to a node basically, and then from there you just play with the settings. I got it pretty close, but then it started becoming too grainy. The background was becoming too grainy. Then when I put a denoise on, guess what? It softened everything up. Yeah. So where CapCut, it was instant. So
that's me in Photoshop playing with my thumbnails. Like, oh yeah, like making everything clean, then trying to add detail, or trying to make it cleaner, more detail, and it's just like it's these 2 things that you're trying to get the perfect recipe for.
And that was just my own carelessness because we had so much going on. I'm focusing on the interview. I'm focusing on the person who's asking questions. And then someone just walked by, it switched the focus, and I didn't notice right away. So, but these are things, right? Like, you're going to have issues when you're doing, especially doing multiple shoots, working with multiple clients. Like, we were pretty lucky that we didn't have really many revisions or hardly any revisions on anything that we did do. We had 1 or 2, but it was very, very minor. So that part of the whole process went really smooth, a lot smoother than I expected. And I thought that would take more time. I thought there'd be a lot more revisions, but we were pretty prepared and pretty straightforward. But yeah, that was my only stress points. I mean, I had one other stress point too, is I would send E back to the hotel before me so he could start backing up cards and all that. And when I got back to the hotel, I'd always ask the same question: did you eat anything yet? And he'd always say the same thing: no. So then I'd be like, all right, let's go panic. I gotta feed E because you can't have someone working with you or working for you. Like, I can go all day without eating because I'm just going through it, but you got to take care of your crew. And so I tried to do my best to make sure that E was eating properly. Did I do an okay job on that, E, at least?
So I did. I told you before we started recording. I think I gained like 4 pounds. Like every dinner was like a all you can eat buffet, and uh, and I was definitely making the most of it. Especially that it was all like Southern barbecue style, and this is something I really enjoy eating, and I don't have a lot of access to here in Montreal. So yeah, definitely ate a lot of cornbread, a lot of briskets, and yeah, and so on and so on. So no, don't worry about it. I my weight just in cornbread alone, I think.
That's it. So how was the editing process for you then, E, in this whole thing? Because basically, one day I had you start putting together all the projects and that while I finished up with clients. So how was that process with you for you?
Yeah, well, I think like early on, and same would be the same for like a tournament or something where you're producing a lot of content on the day, um, for whether it's for multiple players or just the one. If you're gonna have to produce a lot of content throughout the day, like you want to set up some sort of template, like not necessarily to make your videos all look the same, but for example, like a color correction sort of thing that you can, because if you're all filming in the same gym or in the same, in this case, the same convention center, um, the colors are going to be pretty much the same. So you might adjust the exposure sometimes a bit, but in terms of the colors, like you can fix them once and it's just a copy paste thing. So it's setting up that, like at first, like, just setting it, and then the audio as well, because we're a little using like little DJI mics. There's a lot of background noise. Those mics are not like the most dynamic sort of range going around. So like I quickly did like a little equalizer. I can't remember what it's called, like the effect, like just to play, like basically get rid of like a few frequencies that don't sound that great. So it just makes the voice sound a little bit better, and a bit of denoise and a bit of like a hard limiter that makes boost the audio and clips it at a certain level, so it doesn't not clips it but limits it basically, so it doesn't clip. So that way it means that every time after that I'm pushing out interview content that you're filming, I can just copy paste the color correction and copy paste the audio, and there's very limited fine tuning to do after that. So at first it's a bit of that, and also like setting up the sequences and downloading some audio tracks, some music, things like that, and just setting it up, not just doing it sequence by sequence or like project by project, but setting yourself up for the next 4 days. So that first day is a bit more, a lot of preparation and not a lot of content coming out. But then after that, it's just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, and that's exactly what we did, right? Like our last day, we just had a list of things that we needed to execute, and we just sat there until they were all executed, and then the conference is over. We closed our laptops and we felt good. Yes, I did have some projects that clients wanted to do after, but that was already foreseen. So we just filmed that content there. But all our content that was due at the conference was delivered at the
Mm.
conference.
I guess
So
the key is like whatever you can do in advance, do it. If it means showing up to the event a day early just for an hour, um, and you can even, like in the case of a tournament, maybe there's people like setting up chairs, setting up whatever like that you can film to again use as intros for your videos. Um, so like if you can have access early to catch some content, do it. And also if you can prepare your projects early so that you, because if you have to edit on the day, yeah, as much as you can do in advance, or at least like set up something on the first day that you'll be able to reuse the entire weekend, that's definitely the way to go. Having everything properly, not just downloading stuff and leaving it in the download folder, and then you're going around with hard drives and things, and then you're losing your content. Like make sure everything is where it's meant to be. It's labeled. It's clear, so that on day 3 it's easy to find everything when you do have to like change something on the sequence that you created 2 days earlier, but now you're working on a different player, you're in a different folder, different projects, and then you're going back to the other one, things are offline because you deleted some stuff. And so yeah, just make sure you're organized so that it doesn't sting you later.
Honestly, the takeaways I have on for this whole thing that we did, or if I was doing a tournament, is teamwork. Teamwork was huge. You and I were in sync. You know, we knew what was going on. We knew what the other guy was doing all the time, and there was a purpose to what we were doing. You know, like even when you were
Mm.
doing B roll, it wasn't just go shoot here. We had a plan. You're going to go here, here, and here, and then we'll meet up here. And having the right gear. I mean, it helps that we have similar cameras. We have similar color science, so that really helped. Knowing exactly ahead of time. Okay, what are you bringing? What are we working with? So I even had, I had to send you to one time to do a client testimonial. You had your DJI mic set too, so we both knew that we had the same audio setup. You went, did that, and then we met up later. So you really have to organize with your team, and you have to be able to trust your team. Now there was some hard stuff too, like no time to slow down, client expectations, which is always high,
Mhm.
and staying on schedule. And even I had a client schedule, and I don't know, for some reason at one point I had to adjust because one client thought I was coming at one time, even though he basically read the wrong thing on the schedule. So I adjusted. I made it work out. You know, you have to stay in communication with your clients because, especially at a trade show, people aren't always available in the time slot you give them. So you have to be a bit flexible. And having a second shooter like you at that time allowed me to be flexible
Yeah.
because I knew if I couldn't be there, I could pull you off B roll and send you to a client.
Mm.
So that's a challenge, but it was definitely a bonus. And I have a question for you. Would you do it again? Would you work for 7 clients and produce all that content in such a short period of time?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially as the one that doesn't have to deal with clients. Definitely, it's a no-brainer. Especially the next one's in Vegas, I understand. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm down. I was gonna ask you as well, like, from a client's, like a business perspective, like, would you recommend? I'm assuming like because I'm thinking of people who are thinking like, oh yeah, it'd be great to just cover a tournament, have like 6, 7 clients simultaneously, and just basically have a big payday over a weekend. Um, how do you go about getting 6 or 7 clients? Like, I'm assuming, first of all, you have to start early once you know the dates and the teams that they'll be involved, and the idea is to go after 1 or 2 early so that you can then be more um because I was gonna say, like, it's easier to give like good prices when you know you're gonna have 4, 5, 6 different clients. Than if you're only gonna have 1 or 2, your prices might have to go up just to cover your time and expenses and things like that. So, like, how do you go about that, especially at the beginning when you're
So
just starting to try to get clients on board?
yeah, so first of all, it really helped that I had relationships with all the clients I sent emails out to. Okay, so that was definitely a bonus, which not everybody has that opportunity. Now, I had a client that actually wanted to bring me to the conference, and I was just going to work for them for the conference. And I was like, okay, and they were going to pay the flight, the hotel, and for me to be there. And then I kind of realized, like, no, for what we want to do, I don't need to be at your booth or with you the whole time. We could scale back a bit. You can still get a lot of value from your content. But if I get other people on board, then what I did is I included all the travel, the hotel, and all that. I paid for all that, not the clients. You know, so that way we were able to give a good price and to work with multiple clients, and they felt like they were getting a deal. And then I had you come out. So you have to manage expectations. You have to manage. Yes, it could be look like a big payday, but isn't always a big payday if you're paying travel, you're paying your meals, you're paying for a second shooter. But I was willing to take that risk to work with people I haven't worked with before because now that's opened the door for me to work with them in the future. They know what they get from me. You know, at the end of the day, I'm not selling them a shiny video. I'm selling them value. I'm selling them a service. I'm selling them like, hey, when you work with me, it's easy. Yes, we have hurdles, we have problems, but I will solve them and we will get to where you guys want to get to. So that's what I'm really selling. And you know what? To bring on 3, 4 new clients in a small span like that is great. Like it takes months and months to build those relationships. So I sent out emails, I'd say in March, and we filmed in August. And I had some clients sign in the week before that were on the fence still. So definitely put in the time and definitely plan ahead, but you have to see the bigger picture because obviously I would have loved to just be like, okay, I'm going to do this, have a client pay for all my travel, show up, shoot everything and do everything and think I can handle everything myself. But it's impossible to. So you have to open up your mind and realize what you can and cannot do and what you need to do. So I needed a second person just to get out the quality of videos that I want to produce. I don't want to give out half-ass stuff. I don't want to be rushing everything. So I knew that if I spent the money on hiring someone like you and organizing, you know, our accommodations, our meals, all that stuff, that I knew that our clients would get value. And that was what I was really going for. I wasn't looking at the big payday, because at the end of the day, it wasn't. By the time we paid all the logistics, hey, it was good. It was well worth it. But for me, it was really about getting new clients and making that connection. So the same thing for a tournament, right? If you need a couple shooters and you reach out and you get a lot of clients in that, make sure you're giving them value. Don't worry just about the payday. Think about it as a future projects and what it could lead to. At least that's what I did in my case.
Mm-hmm. Future will tell if it was a good idea. But no, I think that's spot on. I think that's the best advice we gave. We saved the best for the end.
Yeah, and honestly, like, we had a good time. We were really lucky. You and I have such a great relationship. I mean, we worked together for so long and we never had a sleepover. So, we got to share a hotel room. We took some breaks in between editing, played some pool, had a couple of beers, went back to editing. We tried to keep it light. And it helps when you're with someone that you enjoy being around, So that's what really made the trip worth it for me. I mean, but we had it scheduled where we had some downtime.
I wish I could say the same.
Yeah, exactly. The one day I got to sleep in, I had to drive to the airport at 6:30 in the morning. So, it is what it is. But no, all in all, honestly, I'm really happy with the way everything turned out. The clients are happy, and you and I both had a good time. So that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I hope, I know it's not so much on sports. We kind of tried to veer it back to sports for our listeners, but we just want to give you guys an inside look on what it's like doing these content packages, working with multiple clients, and how E and I got to spend our summer. And that's one of the main reasons why we had to take time off, because I knew there was no way we could do a podcast while E being in Mexico, then us going to Florida. So it was easier to just take a vacation.
Yes,
all right.
Good idea.
Well, that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare, and we'll see you guys soon.
See ya.